Hi, it's me, Janna, and I have my period today. And yes, my hair is not fully dry. Yes, I'm still clipping my roots and haven't put on makeup, but that's just how I feel like today. And so I thought it was very fitting that I talk about having sex while on your period today because the way I'm feeling today. So if you're ever been curious of other women, what do the other women do, or if you just decided to not have sex while you're on your period, this is the video for you. Also, if you want to see the behind the scenes of having curly hair, this is also for you. So, right now, I'm feeling unmotivated. I was supposed to film this video hours ago. I'm feeling tired. I'm feeling grumpy. And even though I've done some things to try to make myself feel better, like having some food and going for a walk and buying some nice face cream and deep conditioning my hair, nothing's really worked. And sometimes that's what happens during the sexual experience. So let's be real today. I hope I'm always real, but today I'm getting super real. So, what do I do when it's our scheduled sexy time? Because if you haven't been around for a while, if you have been around for a while, you know that we schedule having sex because we're busy and I have responsive desire, and there's many reasons for it. It's an intimacy heartbeat in our marriage. If we don't schedule it, I forget that I like it, and then we never have it because, again, responsive desire. So it's on Saturdays. And so what happens when Saturday rolls around and I have my period? Well, I could cancel it. It's fully within my rights, but I don't want to because that's a really important part of being married for me. And I miss it, and I miss my husband if we skip it. And so here's what I do. And then I'll talk about what I've heard other women do. And so I wear whatever I want to wear. If that's pajama bottoms or full-on pajamas, everything, or naked, that's not usually the case when I'm on my period because, leakage. I do whatever I want. If I want a heat pack, if I need to take some Tylenol, if I want my husband to make me breakfast, I want to have a cup of tea. I just basically treat myself like the queen and make requests for my husband, whatever I need. I don't worry about what I look like, so that's why I'm showing up like this for this video, because we don't need to worry about performance in the sexual experience. It's about pleasure, and pleasure and performance can't exist together. And normally what I like to do is, because I'm pretty sensitive when I'm on my period, just my whole body is, I touch him for my pleasure, which means that I don't have to worry about my body being too sensitive to being touched. And I just experience touching my husband's body wherever I want to, however I want to. And I usually talk a lot during this time. So I will be touching his body, he will be relaxing, and I will just be talking about anything and everything, what I'm going to do that day, my worries, my excitements, my fears, anything that's coming up. Usually around the time of period is more higher anxiety time for me, and so I need more of that. Now, what if you want penetration? Because in fact, I did a survey recently, and 13% of women who took the survey out of 350 women reported that they wanted sex more often during their period. And that's fine. I mean, we all have hormonal peaks and fluctuations at different times. For me, it's after my period where I have a little bit of a peak. Sometimes, not every single cycle, because I'm amazing and unique and I don't work like a robot, and you shouldn't have to either. But if you want that, then you can have sexy time in the shower. I've heard of that. You can put down towels. I mean, what's a little menstrual blood? Not a huge deal. I've also heard of women using a diaphragm because, as you know, Your menstrual blood, what are we going to call it? I don't know, comes out of your cervix, and your cervix is inside of your vagina. And your vagina in your cervix can be covered by a diaphragm. So I've heard of somebody who does it that way. But then also, it's good to remember that your vagina is just part of your whole genital area, and your clitoris, which is the main event when it comes to your nerve endings, is outside of that area. And so if you use a menstrual cup or tampon, something like that, you have so much more available to you, and which doesn't have to be covered in blood. So what I'm trying to say is that there's so many ways to experience sexual pleasure together. And whether you choose to do something like I normally do, which is touch my husband for my own pleasure, and use connection pleasure and talking pleasure, which I really enjoy. If you want to figure out a way to keep the mess, not staining your whole bed, well, that's another option. Or if you want to use something like a tampon and a cup and use the rest of your beautiful body, I mean, there's just so many options. What I do encourage you to do is, number one, schedule sex, because it's great. And then when you do schedule it, make sure that you don't just put it aside because you can have sex that you feel like, counts or is right. You can have so many different experiences and not miss out on that time with your husband, and also for you, because you need the oxytocin and dopamine and endorphins and all the feel-good hormones that come along with pleasure, whether that's sexual pleasure or whether that is, any other type of pleasure that you're going to have, like talking with him. So yes, today's video was a little bit rambly, but that's because I'm feeling rambly, and I'm going to show up the way I'm showing up, just like I encourage you to show up to the sexual experience just the way you are. You don't have to pretend to be something else. You don't have to work up to feeling your best. You don't have to be super like sexual and into it. You can just be the person you are and be with your husband, who is the person he is, and have some fun together. It doesn't have to be amazing. It doesn't have to be the best experience ever. It just has to be something that brings you a little bit of enjoyment, a little bit of connection. So that's what I encourage you guys to do. I will talk to you later.